The rain fell in sheets across Prime. It was not water that fell from the sky, but a thin chemical mist that smelled like rust and old metal. This was the largest starship graveyard in the known galaxy. Ships from 100 different species lay here, broken and forgotten. Some were as small as houses. Others were as big as mountains. All of them were dead. Walked through the mud with his toolbox in his hand. He was 34 years old with rough hands and tired eyes. His jacket was old and patched in many places. His boots leaked. He had exactly 15 credits to his name, and he owed money to people who did not like to wait. 5 years ago, he had been a respected engineer in the Terran Engineering Corps. He had fixed ships that others said could never fly again. He had a good salary, a small apartment, and a future. Then he had made a mistake. He had fixed a ship using methods that were not in the official books. The ship flew perfectly, but the Corps did not care. They called his methods dangerous. They called him reckless. They took away his license and sent him away. Now he wandered from station to station, fixing things for people who could not afford real mechanics. He slept in storage rooms and ate cheap food paste. He was nobody. The alien merchant who ran this section of the scrapyard was named. He was short and round, with skin and 4 small eyes. He sold junk to desperate buyers. "You want ship?" asked his translator, crackling. "I have many ships, good ships, cheap." Shook his head. "I don't have money for a good ship." Laughed. It was not a kind laugh. "Then what you want? I not give charity." "I want something nobody else wants," said. "Something broken, something I can fix." His 4 eyes blinked one at a time. He scratched his chin with a thick finger. Then he smiled, showing rows of small yellow teeth. "I have something," he said. "Come, I show you." They walked for a long time. They passed ships of every kind, pointed at several but kept walking. None of them felt right. He did not know what he was looking for, but he knew he had not found it yet. Finally, they reached the very edge of the scrapyard. Here, the ships were so old that they had begun to sink into the mud. Strange plants grew on their hulls. Animals had made homes inside their broken windows. And there, at the very end, sat the strangest ship had ever seen. It was not very large, maybe 50 meters long. Its shape was smooth and curved, like a teardrop lying on its side. The hull was covered in something that looked like barnacles, thick growths that hid the metal beneath. The viewports were dark. No lights shone anywhere on its surface. But there was something else, something that made stop and stare. The ship was warm. He could feel it from 10 meters away. A faint heat like standing near a sleeping animal. The other ships were cold and dead. This one was different. "What is this?" he asked. Made a sound of disgust. "This is Pale Wanderer, very old ship, 300 years in this yard, maybe older. Nobody knows who built, nobody knows what species. Many buyers come, many buyers leave. Ship no work for anyone." "What do you mean, it doesn't work?" "Systems not connect, engine sealed shut, computer not talk, every species try, every species fail," shrugged his round shoulders. "Is cursed maybe, bad luck ship. I sell for scrap price, 12 credits. 12 credits, that was almost nothing. That was the price of the metal alone." Walked closer. The warmth grew stronger. He reached out and touched the hull. The metal was smooth beneath the barnacles. It felt different from any material he knew. Not cold like steel, not warm like plastic. Something in between, something alive. "I'll take it," he said. Stared at him. "You crazy human, ship is garbage, everyone say so." "Then you should be happy to get 12 credits for garbage." The merchant grumbled but took the money. He handed a small data chip with the ownership codes and walked away, muttering about foolish humans who wasted their money on cursed ships. Stood alone in the rain, looking at his new ship. He had no money left. He had no food. He had no plan. All he had was a broken ship that nobody wanted and a feeling in his chest that he could not explain. He spent the rest of the day cleaning the barnacles from the hull. It was hard work. The growths were thick and tough, but as he scraped them away, he saw the metal beneath. It was beautiful, a deep color that seemed to shift in the light. There were no seams, no welding marks. The hull was one solid piece, as if the ship had been grown rather than built. When night came, sat against the hull and ate his last food packet. The chemical rain had stopped. Strange stars filled the sky above. He was tired and hungry and alone. But he was also excited. For the first time in 5 years, he felt like he had found something important. He put his hand flat against the hull and closed his eyes. "I don't know what you are," he said quietly, "but I'm going to find out and I'm going to fix you. That's what I do. I fix things that others give up on." The ship did not answer, but could have sworn that the warmth under his hand grew slightly stronger. He fell asleep against the hull, dreaming of stars. When he woke, the sun was rising. Orange light spread across the scrapyard, stretched his stiff muscles and looked at the ship. Then he froze. A panel had opened in the hull, right where his hand had rested all night long. It was small, just big enough for a person to fit through. Inside, a soft blue light glowed. Had not touched any controls, he had not pressed any buttons. The ship had opened itself. For him, he gathered his tools and stepped through the opening. Inside, the air was warm and clean. It smelled faintly of something sweet, like flowers he had never known. The corridor curved ahead of him, lit by that same soft blue glow. "Hello," he called out. His voice echoed strangely. There was no answer, but the lights ahead grew brighter, as if inviting him forward. Walked deeper into the ship. He found rooms that were bigger than they should be. The ship was 50 meters long on the outside, but some of these rooms were 100 meters across. That was impossible, but there they were. He found control panels covered in symbols he did not recognize. He found sleeping quarters with beds shaped for no species he knew. He found a kitchen with strange cooking devices and cabinets full of containers that had been empty for centuries. And then he found the door. It was at the very center of the ship, a massive circular door made of the same metal as the hull. There were no handles, no buttons, no control panels, just smooth metal. But could feel something on the other side. The warmth was strongest here. The heartbeat of the ship came from behind this door. He pressed his hand against it. Nothing happened. He pushed harder, still nothing. "Come on," he muttered. "You opened the outer door for me. Open this one too." But the door remained shut. Sat down in front of it. He would figure this out. It might take days or weeks or months, but he would figure it out. He was a mechanic, and this was just another problem to solve. Outside, the scrapyard went about its business. Merchants sold their junk. Ships came and went. Nobody paid attention to the crazy human who had bought the cursed ship. But something was changing. Deep inside the pale wanderer, something that had slept for 1,000 years was beginning to wake up. It had been waiting for a very long time. And now, finally, the right person had arrived. 3 weeks passed, lived inside the pale wanderer now. He had no money for food, so he scavenged in the scrapyard. He found old ration packs in abandoned ships. He collected rainwater in empty containers. It was not a good life, but it was enough. Every day he worked on the ship. He studied every wire, every panel, every system he could reach. The technology was unlike anything he had ever seen. It was not electronic in the normal way. The circuits seemed almost organic, like veins carrying blood through a body. When he touched them, they pulsed faintly under his fingers. But the great door at the center of the ship remained closed. He tried everything. He tried forcing it open with tools. He tried cutting through it with a plasma torch. The metal did not even get warm. He tried connecting his computer to the ship's systems, but the data that came back made no sense. On the 22nd day, sat in front of the door, exhausted and frustrated. His hands were covered in small cuts and burns from his work. His stomach was empty. His hope was fading. "Why won't you let me in?" he asked the door. "I'm trying to help you, can't you see that?" For a long moment, nothing happened. Then very quietly, a voice spoke in his mind. "Because you are afraid." Jumped to his feet. He looked around wildly. There was nobody there. He was alone in the corridor. "Who said that?" he demanded. "I did." The voice was soft and strange. It did not come through his ears. It came from somewhere inside his head. "I am the one you are trying to reach." "You can talk. Why didn't you talk before?" "I was sleeping. I have been sleeping for a very long time. Your presence woke me, but I am still weak, still broken." Pressed his hand against the door. "Then let me help you. Open this door. Let me see what's wrong." "I cannot open this door for someone who is afraid." "I'm not afraid." "You are. You are afraid that you will fail. You are afraid that you are not good enough. You are afraid that this ship, like everything else in your life, will reject you." Was silent. The voice was right. He had not admitted it to himself, but it was true. Every night he lay awake thinking about all the things that could go wrong. Every day he wondered if he was wasting his time on an impossible task. "The others who came before you," the voice continued, "they were not afraid. They were confident. They believed they could control me, use me, bend me to their will. But their confidence was empty. They did not understand what I am. They only wanted what I could give them." "What are you?" asked. I am the last creation of those who came before. The ones your scientists call the architects. They built me to find a species worthy of their legacy. For 1 billion years I searched. For 1,000 years I waited here. And now you have come." "Me? I'm just a mechanic. I'm nobody." "You are exactly what I was built to find. Not a conqueror, not a king, a healer, someone who sees the broken and wants to fix it. Your fear does not disqualify you, but you must accept it. You must work through it. Only then can you enter." Took a deep breath. He thought about his life. He thought about all his failures. He thought about the engineering corps and the license they took away. He thought about the years of wandering, the hunger, the loneliness. And then he thought about why he did what he did. Why he kept fixing things even when nobody believed in him. Because he loved it. Because seeing something broken become whole again was the greatest feeling in the universe. Because every machine, every ship, every system deserved a chance to work the way it was meant to. "I am afraid," he said out loud. "I'm afraid I'll fail. I'm afraid I'm not smart enough or strong enough. But I'm going to try anyway, because that's what I do. I don't give up." The door began to glow. A warm, golden light spread across its surface. Then slowly, silently, it slid open. Inside was a chamber filled with light. At the center floated a crystal as tall as a man, shaped like a teardrop. It was beautiful, but it was also cracked. Deep fractures ran through its surface. Some pieces had fallen away completely. Inside the crystal, a faint light pulsed weakly. "This is me," said. "This is what remains." Walked forward slowly. He reached out and touched the crystal. It was warm like living skin. "What happened to you?" "Time, neglect, and the ones who tried to control me. Each species that claimed me tried to connect their technology to my systems, but their technology was not compatible. Every attempt caused damage. Every failure left new cracks. After the last one, I sealed myself away. I chose to sleep rather than die." "Can you be fixed?" "I do not know. No one has ever tried to fix me. They only tried to use me." Smiled. It was a sad smile, but also determined. "Then I'll be the first." He could not do it alone. The ship's systems were too complex, too strange. He needed help, but he had no money to hire anyone. So he went looking for people like himself, people who had been thrown away, people who had nowhere else to go. He found Park in a bar near the edge of the station. She was once famous for her research on extinct species, but she had published a paper claiming that humanity was descended from architect genetic engineering. The scientific community had laughed at her. They called her a fraud. They took away her funding. Now she spent her days drinking cheap alcohol and staring at nothing. Told her about the ship, about what he had found. She did not believe him at first, but then he showed her samples of the crystal. He showed her scans of the organic circuitry. Her eyes went wide. "This is impossible," she whispered. "This proves everything I said. This proves we came from them." "I need your help," said. "The crystal is alive. It's dying. I don't know enough about biology to save it." Looked at him for a long moment. Then she put down her drink and stood up. "Show me," she said. Ian was harder to find. He was a pilot, once the best in the Terran Navy, but he had refused an order to fire on a civilian ship. They called it mutiny. They put him in prison for 3 years. When he got out, no one would hire him. He became a smuggler, running small cargoes between stations, always one step ahead of the authorities. Found him in a cargo bay, sleeping in his tiny, beaten-up shuttle. "I have a ship that can fly like nothing you've ever seen," said, "but I need someone to fly it." Laughed bitterly. "I've heard that before. Everyone thinks their ship is special. This one is. Come see for yourself." Came, when he saw the pale wanderer, when he felt the warmth of his presence, his bitter laugh faded. His eyes grew bright. "What is this thing?" he whispered. "Something that was waiting for us," said. "Something that needs our help." Was the youngest. She was only 19, a hacker who had grown up on the streets of Prime. She had no family, no home. She lived in the ventilation systems of the station, stealing data and selling it to survive. She was brilliant with computers, but she trusted no one. Found her by accident. She had tried to hack into the Pale Wanderer's systems and had been caught by its defenses. She was sitting in the corridor, her equipment fried, tears running down her face. "Please don't report me," she begged. "I'll do anything. I just needed money. I'm hungry." Looked at her. He remembered being young and hungry and alone. He remembered what it felt like to have no hope. "How would you like a job?" he asked. 3 months later, the team had become a family. They worked together every day, sleeping in the ship, eating together, solving problems together. Slowly, carefully, they began to heal. Developed compounds that helped the crystal repair itself. Rebuilt the damaged circuits one, by hand, never using automated tools. Mapped the impossible interior of the ship, finding rooms and passages that had been sealed for. Created translation programs that helped them understand ancient language. And day by day, the light inside the crystal grew stronger. Then came the morning when spoke to all of them at once. "I am ready," the ancient voice said. "It is time for me to wake fully. It is time for us to fly." The pale wanderer rose from the mud of the scrapyard. Its hull shone bright in the sunlight. Its engines hummed with power that had not been heard in 1,000 years. The ships around them fell silent. The merchants stopped their work. Everyone stared. A forgotten ghost had come back to life. And the galaxy would never be the same. Every species had legends about the architects. They were the ones who came first. They had built the hyperspace gates that connected distant stars. They had seeded planets with life. They had created wonders beyond imagination. And then, 10 million years ago, they had vanished. Some said they died. Some said they evolved into beings of pure energy. Some said they were still out there, watching, waiting. Now an architect's ship had awakened on Prime, and it was bonded to humans. Within 3 days, the first delegation arrived. They were from the hegemony of, they were warriors. They stood 3 meters tall, with 4 powerful arms and skin like stone. Their empire controlled 200 star systems. They had conquered a dozen species. They believed that strength was the only law that mattered. Admiral led the delegation. He was old his stone skin cracked and from many battles, but his eyes were sharp and cold. "You will surrender the architect vessel," he said. "It was not a request. It belongs to the galaxy, not to one small species." Stood in the cargo bay of the Pale Wanderer facing the Admiral. Behind him stood his crew, was calm, her arms crossed, had his hand near his sidearm, was typing on a small device monitoring communications. "The ship doesn't belong to anyone," said. "And if it did, it would belong to the people who fixed it, not the ones who left it to rot for 300 years. His four arms tightened into fists. "You dare speak to me this way? I have crushed rebellions, I have burned planets. You are nothing." "Maybe, but I'm the one the ship chose, not you." The admiral stared at him for a long moment. Then he turned and walked away. "You have 1 day," he said over his shoulder. "Surrender the ship or we will take it by force." After the left, other delegations came. The Syndicate of Flowing Commerce sent their representative in a ship that looked like a swimming fish. The Syndicate were aquatic beings, creatures of flowing water and endless trade. They controlled the economy of half the galaxy. "We will pay you," their representative bubbled through a translation device. "Name any price. We will match it, double it, triple it. The architect technology must be studied. It must be shared. And we are the best at sharing for a price." Shook his head. "The ship isn't for sale." "Everything is for sale. You simply haven't heard the right offer." "Then I'm not interested in offers." The representative made a sound like boiling water. It might have been anger. It might have been disbelief. "You are making a mistake," they said. "The Syndicate does not forget those who refuse us." The collective of eternal thought came next. They were a hive mind, billions of beings sharing one consciousness. They appeared as a group of identical creatures, small and moving in perfect unison. "The architect vessel represents a danger," they said with one voice. "One mind cannot be trusted with such power. The ship must be given to us. We are many. We will use it wisely." "You're not many," said. "You're one. One mind wearing 1 billion bodies. That's not safer, that's worse." "You do not understand. We are." "I understand enough. The answer is no." The collective stared at him with 1,000 eyes. Then, without another word, they left. That night sat alone in the chamber with Crystal. The light inside pulsed slowly, like a sleeping heartbeat. "They're going to attack," he said. "All of them. Maybe not together, but soon. And we can't fight them all. The Alone have 40 warships in orbit." "I know," said softly. "I have been watching, listening." "So what do we do? Run, hide? Is that what you want to do?" Was quiet for a moment. "No, I don't want to run anymore. I've been running my whole life. Running from failure, running from rejection. I'm tired of it." "Then we fight." "We can't win. There are 4 of us. They have armies." "You are wrong." His light grew brighter. "You have something they do not have. You have something none of them ever had." "What?" "The key to my true self." The walls of the chamber began to change. Panels slid open. Lights appeared in places that had been dark for. The entire ship seemed to wake up, stretching like a creature coming out of a long sleep. "You see," continued, "I was never meant to be a weapon. The architects built me to find a worthy species. A species that would nurture life, not destroy it. Every race that touched me sought power. They sought conquest. They sought control. And so I gave them nothing. But you're giving us something now. Because you are different. You did not come to use me. You came to heal me. You treated me like something worth saving, not something worth owning. That is what the architects were looking for. That is what I was built to find." More doors opened. Saw chambers he had never seen before. Chambers filled with strange machines, glowing devices, systems beyond his understanding. "These are the tools of the architects," said. "Matter fabricators that can build anything from raw atoms. Dimensional fold drives that can cross the galaxy in moments. Adaptive hull systems that can reshape the ship in real time. And weapons, yes, weapons too, though I hoped I would never need them." "Why now?" asked. "Why show me this now?" "Because tomorrow they will attack, and when they do, we must be ready." Spent the rest of the night learning. Taught him about the ship's systems, its capabilities, its limits. He woke, and taught them too. By dawn, they knew things that no other beings in the galaxy knew. They understood technologies that had been lost for 10 million years. But they also understood the responsibility. "We can destroy them," said, looking at the weapon systems. "We can wipe out their entire fleet in seconds." "Yes," said, "we can, but we won't." "What? They're going to attack us. And we're going to stop them, but we're not going to kill them. That's what they would do. That's what every empire in this galaxy would do, but we're not an empire. We're not conquerors. We're just people who fix things." "So what's the plan?" Smiled. It was a tired smile, but there was something fierce in it, something unbreakable. "We're going to teach them something," he said. "We're going to show them that there's another way, a better way." Outside, the sun rose over Prime. 40 warships hung in orbit like hungry wolves, waiting for the order to attack. And in the scrapyard below, a forgotten ship that nobody wanted prepared to change the galaxy forever. His voice spoke softly in their minds. "They are coming." Looked at his crew, his family, the broken people who had found each other in a broken place. "Then let's show them what humans can do," he said. The pale wanderer rose into the sky. The fleet hung in orbit like a wall of steel and fire. 40 warships, each one bristling with weapons. The smallest was 100 meters long. The flagship was nearly a kilometer, a massive beast of war that had broken entire worlds. Admiral stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the small ship rise from the planet below. "They are brave," one of his officers said. "Foolish but brave." "Bravery without strength is meaningless," replied. "Destroy them." 20 warships opened fire at once. Beams of concentrated energy sliced through space. Missiles streaked toward their target, enough firepower to melt a moon. None of it touched the pale wanderer. The ship danced. There was no other word for it. It moved in ways that should have been impossible, sliding between beams, spinning around missiles. Its hull shifted and flowed like water, changing shape in real time. Energy that would have destroyed any other ship splashed harmlessly against its surface and disappeared. On the bridge of the pale wanderer was laughing. His hands moved across the controls, but he was barely touching them. The ship responded to his thoughts, to his instincts, faster than any machine had ever responded before. "This is incredible," he shouted. "It's like the ship knows what I'm going to do before I do it." "It does," his voice said calmly. "We are connected now. Your instincts guide me. My knowledge guides you. Together, we are more than either could be alone." Sat at a console covered in holographic displays. Her fingers flew across keyboards that had not existed 5 minutes ago. The ship systems created whatever she needed, reading her intentions and building tools in real time. "I'm in their communications network," she said. "They're confused. They've never seen anything move like this." "Can you disrupt their coordination?" asked. "Already doing it. I'm feeding them false sensor data. Half their ships think we're in 3 different places at once." In the medical bay, watched vital signs on a screen she had designed herself. The crystal core pulsed with strong, steady light. The cracks that had once covered its surface were almost fully healed. "Core stability is good," she reported. "How are you feeling?" "I feel awake," said. There was wonder in the ancient voice. "For the first time in 1,000 years, I feel truly alive." On the flagship, chaos was spreading. Weapons were firing in random directions. Ships were bumping into each other. Officers were shouting conflicting orders. Admiral slammed his 4 fists against his command console. "What is happening?" he roared. "Why can't we hit one small ship?" "Sir, our targeting systems are compromised. Our communications are." "I don't want excuses. I want that ship destroyed." But the pale wanderer was not just dodging. It was attacking. Not with weapons, with precision. Beams of energy shot from the ship's hull, but they were not aimed to kill. They struck engine systems, disabling them. They hit weapons arrays, overloading them. They targeted communication dishes, leaving ships isolated and confused. One by one, the warships went dark. Their weapons stopped firing. Their engines stopped burning. They drifted in space, powerless but alive. In 30 minutes, the most powerful fleet they had ever assembled was reduced to a collection of floating metal boxes. Not a single soldier died. The pale wanderer approached the flagship, watched it come, his stone face twisted with rage and something else, something he had not felt in a very long time. Fear. A communication channel opened. His face appeared on the screen. "Admiral," the human said, "your fleet is disabled. Your weapons are offline. Your engines are dead. I could destroy every one of your ships right now, and there's nothing you could do to stop me." Said nothing. His jaw was clenched so tight that cracks appeared in his stone skin. "But I'm not going to do that," continued. "Because that's not who we are. We're not conquerors. We're not killers. We're mechanics. We fix things, even broken empires." "You dare lecture me," finally spoke. "You, a creature from a species that discovered fire yesterday." "Maybe, but this creature from yesterday just beat your entire fleet without killing a single one of your soldiers. Think about that. Think about what that means." Was silent. "You came here for power," said. "You came to take what wasn't yours, but power isn't just about weapons and armies. It's about choice. Today I chose not to destroy you. Tomorrow I could choose to help you. That's real power, Admiral. The power to build instead of break, to heal instead of hurt." "Pretty words," growled, "but words don't win wars." "No, they end them." The communication ended. The pale wanderer turned and flew away from the disabled fleet. It did not look back. News of the battle spread across the galaxy even faster than news of the awakening. Every species heard what had happened. Every empire learned that the humans had beaten the without taking a single life. Some laughed and called it weakness. Some scoffed and said the humans were naive. But many more began to think. For thousands of years, the galaxy had known only one law: the strong take from the weak. Every species that rose to power did so through war and conquest. Every empire was built on the bones of those who came before. But now there was something new. A ship that could have destroyed everything in its path and chose not to. A crew that could have become the most powerful force in the galaxy and chose instead to show mercy. Within days, messages began arriving at Prime. Not threats, not demands, requests. A planet in the outer systems was dying from a plague that no one could cure. Could the architect's ship help? Two species that had been at war for 100 years wanted peace, but neither side trusted the other. Could the humans serve as mediators? A rogue artificial intelligence was spreading through a star system, destroying everything in its path. Could the pale wanderer stop it? Read each message carefully. He talked with his crew. He consulted with. "What do you think?" he asked the ancient being. "I think," said slowly, "that this is what I was built for. Not to conquer, not to destroy, but to help, to heal, to bring species together instead of tearing them apart." "That's what I think too." Grinned. "So we're going to fly around the galaxy saving people. That sounds like a good job." Nodded. "Better than sitting in a bar feeling sorry for myself." Was already planning routes and mapping destinations. "I've analyzed the messages. If we prioritize correctly, we can address the most urgent problems first and—" "Slow down," said, smiling. "We're not an army. We're 4 people in one ancient crystal. We can't save everyone." "Then we save who we can," said, "and we inspire others to do the same." That night stood alone on the hull of the pale wanderer, looking up at the stars. The chemical mist of Prime hung in the air around him, but the ship's energy field kept him warm and dry. His voice spoke softly in his mind. "You are thinking about something." "I'm thinking about Admiral," said. The look on his face when we let him go, he didn't understand. He couldn't understand why we didn't kill him. Does that bother you? No, it makes me sad. He spent his whole life believing that the only way to be strong is to hurt others. He doesn't know any other way. Perhaps one day he will learn. Maybe, looked at a distant star, wondering what worlds orbited it, what people lived there, what problems they faced. Do you think we can really change things? The galaxy has been this way for millions of years. Can 4 humans and 1 ancient ship really make a difference? I do not know, said honestly. But I know this, 3 months ago I was dying. I had given up hope. I believed that no species would ever see me as anything more than a tool to be used. Then you came. You changed everything. If one mechanic can save an ancient being that the entire galaxy had forgotten, then perhaps anything is possible. Smiled, he placed his hand flat against the warm hull. Then let's find out, he said. The pale wanderer lifted off from Prime for the last time. Its hull gleamed in the starlight. Its engines hummed with ancient power. And across the galaxy, people looked up and wondered. The humans were coming. And for the first time in millions of years, that was a reason for hope. 1 year had passed since the Battle of Prime. In that time, the pale wanderer had crossed the galaxy 100 times. It had visited worlds that no human had ever seen. It had solved problems that had seemed unsolvable. It had saved lives beyond counting. The plague on 7 was cured, had worked with ancient databases to create a treatment that healed millions. The 2 warring species in the system had signed a peace treaty, with serving as the neutral witness. The rogue artificial intelligence had been stopped, not destroyed but healed, its broken programming repaired so it could think clearly again. And wherever the pale wanderer went, it left something behind. Not weapons, not soldiers, hope. Other species began to change. The Syndicate of Flowing Commerce started a fund to help developing worlds build hospitals. A group of young officers formed an organization to promote peaceful solutions to conflicts. Even the collective of eternal thought began to listen to individual voices within their hive mind, learning that unity did not have to mean the death of differences. The human crew had become famous. Their names were known on 1,000 worlds. But fame had not changed them. Still laughed at danger and flew the ship like it was an extension of his body. He had been offered command of the new unified Galactic Defense Force, a peacekeeping organization formed after the Wanderer Accords. He had accepted, but only part-time. He could not leave the ship that had given him his purpose back. Had grown into a confident young woman. Her skills with technology had saved countless lives. She had founded the Archive of Forgotten Technologies, a project to preserve and share knowledge across species. But she still slept aboard the Wanderer, still considered it her only true home. Had proven her theories about humanity's connection to the architects. The evidence from had changed everything. She was now the most respected in the galaxy. But when people asked her about her greatest achievement, she always said the same thing. The day I stopped drinking and started believing in myself again. And the mechanic from New Seoul who had bought a worthless ship for 12 credits. He was still fixing things. Every morning he walked through the corridors of the Pale Wanderer with his toolbox in his hand. He checked systems. He tightened connections. He made small improvements. The ship did not need him to do this anymore. It could repair itself now, but did it anyway. It was who he was. On the anniversary of their first meeting, asked to speak with him alone. Sat in the crystal chamber as he had done so many times before, but something was different. The air felt heavier, more important. I have been thinking, said. About what? About the future, about what comes next. Waited. The architects searched for 1,000,000,000 years to find a species worthy of their legacy, continued. They seeded thousands of worlds. They watched millions of species rise and fall, and in the end they found you. Humanity, you mean? No, I mean you. The mechanic who saw a broken ship and wanted to heal it. The man who faced an empire and chose mercy. The person who taught me that being strong does not mean being cruel. I didn't do it alone. They are wonderful, but they came because of you. They stayed because of you. You are the heart of this crew. You always have been. Was quiet. He did not know what to say. There is something I must tell you, said. Something I have been waiting to share until the time was right. What is it? I am not just a ship. I am not just a tool. I am a seed. The architects built me to pass on their legacy to a worthy species, but that legacy cannot be given. It must be earned. It must be joined. I don't understand. For 1,000 years I have been separate, a being alone, waiting in the darkness, but I was never meant to be alone. I was meant to bond with someone, to become something new, something greater than either of us could be on our own. The crystal began to glow brighter. The light filled the chamber. Said, I am asking you to join with me, not as a pilot in a ship, not as a mechanic in a machine, as partners, as one being made of two. What would that mean? It would mean that you and I would be connected forever. Your thoughts would be my thoughts. My knowledge would be your knowledge. You would become more than human, and I would become more than a ship. Thought about this. He thought about everything he would gain, the power, the knowledge, the connection to something ancient and magnificent. But he also thought about what he might lose, his humanity, his crew, his simple love of fixing things with his own two hands. If I do this, he said slowly, will I still be me? Yes, said gently, you will still be you. You will still love the people you love. You will still care about the things you care about, but you will also be more. You will see the universe as I see it. You will feel the connections between all living things. You will understand truths that no human has ever understood. And if I say no, then I will continue as I am. I will serve you and your crew until the end of your days, and when you are gone, I will wait again, for another 1,000,000,000 years if I must. Stood up, he walked to the crystal and placed his hand against its warm surface. He said, you saved me. When I was broken and lost, you gave me purpose. You gave me a family. You gave me hope. You saved me too, replied. We saved each other. Then let's keep doing that, together. Light exploded from the crystal. It surrounded, filled him, became him. He felt his consciousness expand in ways he could never have imagined. He felt the ship as if it were his own body. He felt the stars as if they were his heartbeat. He felt the connections between every living thing in the galaxy, a vast web of life and energy and possibility. And he was still himself. Still a mechanic. Still a man who wanted to fix broken things. But now he was something more as well. When the light faded, the crew was standing in the doorway. They had felt the change. They had come running. Gasp stared, his mouth fell open. Turned to look at them. His eyes held starlight. A faint glow surrounded him as if he were lit from within. It's okay, he said. His voice was the same, his smile was the same. I'm still me. What happened? Whispered. I accepted the gift, said. And I are one now, and we're going to keep doing what we've always done. Helping people, fixing things, making the galaxy a little bit better, one world at a time. Let out a long breath, then he grinned. Well, he said, I guess that means you're literally part of the ship now. Does that mean I'm piloting you? Laughed. It was a good laugh, warm and real. I guess it does. 50 years later, the galaxy was a very different place. The Wanderer fleet patrolled the stars. 7 architect ships, each bonded to a human captain, each dedicated to helping those in need. They were not an empire. They were not an army. They were simply there whenever someone needed them. The old ways had not disappeared completely. There was still conflict. There was still greed. There were still those who believed that power came from the barrel of a weapon. But there were also new ways, new ideas, new hope. And whenever someone gave up, whenever someone said that change was impossible, someone else would point to the sky and say, Look at what the humans did. They found a broken ship that everyone else had rejected. They healed it. They turned it into something wonderful. If they could do that, maybe anything is possible. Or the being that had once been still traveled the stars. He had stopped aging long ago. His body had changed, becoming something between human and machine, flesh and crystal. But his heart remained the same. He still carried a toolbox. He still walked through the corridors of the Pale Wanderer, checking systems, tightening connections. He still loved fixing things. And whenever someone asked him how he had done it, how one broke mechanic had changed the entire galaxy, he always gave the same answer. "I didn't change anything," he would say. "I just fixed what was broken. That's what mechanics do." Then he would smile, and the starlight in his eyes would twinkle, and the Pale Wanderer would leap into the void, heading toward the next world that needed saving. Because there was always another world. And there was always hope.